Megabonk is a roguelike game where you start off weak before eventually becoming an unkillable god. And if the name's not obvious, your objective is to bonk enemies into oblivion as you survive waves of different enemy types. You got your skeletons, goblins, and Scorpion Ussy? Megabonk is extremely fun, and I'm not exaggerating when I say I got addicted to the game for like a solid 2 weeks. You can play as a knight that's almost as cool as me, a furry, Giga Chad, so basically the normal characters you see in these type of games. You can build craft almost infinitely in Megabonk thanks to its large array of weapons, items, and tomes that all bring their own unique playstyle. But that's not what I'm interested in, since Megabonk also has challenges for gamers like me. Many of these are simply buffed enemies and this. But what really caught my eye was the Pacifist challenge, which tasks you to beat the tier 1 forest level without any weapons. This was it. This was the rush I've been looking for. Trying to beat a game like Megabonk with no weapons sounds absolutely insane. I did it on my first try. Yeah, so with my challenge run itch unfulfilled, I decided to craft my own Megabonk Pacifist challenge that actually sees you beat the final boss of the game. Here are the rules. Only the shield and Chunker's weapon are allowed. Yes, so unfortunately, there's no way to disable weapons in Megabonk, meaning we're forced to use at least 2 weapons. But with the defensive shield and Chunkers equipped, I can only damage enemies who walk into me, meaning I'm technically not attacking anybody. Rule 2. I cannot use items that attack enemies. So just like rule 1, all of my items must be defensive, meaning ghosts, slutty cannons, energy cores, and so on are not allowed. But something like electric plug, which only procs on being hit, is allowed. And that's all it is for the rules. So going into my build, and I decided to play Athena, since she gains 2 thorns per level up. And also she's the only character that starts with a shield weapon, so I didn't actually have a choice. And for my tomes, I went with the XP tome since it's literally impossible to get a good run without it. Quantity tome so I got more shields and chunkers. Bloody tome so I could keep my health up. And finally the armor tome, which will make me take less damage. Moving on to my items, and I first selected the Forbidden Juice, increasing my crit chance by 10%. I also got the key, which gives me a 10% chance of getting a free chest. For the blue items, I selected Brass Knuckles for more damage when enemies are nearby, Demonic Blade for healing, Echo Shard for more XP, and finally the Moldy Gloves. For the purple items, I selected Quinn's Mask for more Thorns damage, Gas Mask for armor and overheal on every poisoned enemy, Demonic Soul for more damage, and Grandma's Secret Tonic to explode enemies on crit. Finally for the legendaries, I selected Chonk Plate, which gives me more lifesteal and overhealing, Sucky Magnet to drag in all XP, and the Bloody Cleaver to trigger Bloodmark. So at the beginning of this run, it's very important that I gather all of my tomes as well as my extra weapon. This is done by gathering XP, which can be done by defeating enemies or destroying pots found around the map. Upon leveling up, we're presented with 3 random choices, ranging from tomes to weapons and eventually upgrades. But whilst I'm also gathering XP, it's very important that I go around the map and search out these statues. Now there are many different statues in Megabonk that all do different things, but I'm specifically looking for these 3. The first is the Charge Shrine, which will give us a random upgrade once charged up. The second is the Challenge Shrine, which will spawn difficult enemies but reward me with a chest. And the third is the Moai Head, which will present 3 random items where I can then select one of them. Seeking out these 3 shrines whilst also looking for pots is very essential in the early game, as I want to gather as much gold and XP as possible whilst also upgrading my stats. But 3 minutes into the run, and I finally got my second weapon, which is slightly better than the shield, since I could kill enemies without having to bonk into them. And this was really good timing, as only a few seconds later, the first mini-boss had spawned in. But feeling unprepared, I decided to avoid the boss for now, instead getting my Quantity Tome book as well as this really lucky legendary armor upgrade. I then bunny hopped around, continuing to seek out any more shrines. But 4 minutes into the run, my first swarm had spawned in, which, yeah, it ain't looking good. At least, it wasn't until this happened. So this is the Time Freeze power-up, which is one of many power-ups that can randomly drop from enemies. You've got the Shield, which grants invulnerability, Rage, which increases damage and attack speed, and the Nuclear Bomb, which, yeah, we can't use that one, that's not very pacifist-like. But going back to the run, and by using the Time Freeze power-up, I was able to defeat the mini-boss from earlier, as well as clear out most of the swarm. I then went back to exploring the map, which brought me onto a microwave. This item allows me to duplicate any of my currently owned items, but at the expense of losing a random one. So I decided to take the gamble, duplicating my Forbidden Juice 3 times, giving me a 50% crit chance on every attack. A few minutes later, I was finally able to get my XP tome, which increases the amount of XP I gain per XP crystal, which definitely would have been nicer to get early on in the run, but hey, at least I have a lot of armor, which I actually was gonna need since the second swarm was right around the corner. But just like the first, I once again got really lucky since a Rage power-up dropped, allowing me to wipe the swarm. My luck then continued since I found another microwave, allowing me to upgrade my crit even more, resulting in a 90% crit chance on every attack. Now it was at this point that I was starting to get really nervous, since I had only 1 minute left before the Endless Swarm, and I still hadn't got my Bloody Tome book, meaning I had no reliable way of healing any damage. And so with no other option, I went and spawned the tier 1 boss, and had to fight him whilst also avoiding the mini-boss. But thanks to my 90% crit chance, I was able to defeat the tier 1 boss, as well as melt the mini-boss who wasn't actually a threat. This led me on to the final swarm, who are an endless amount of ghosts who progressively get faster and harder. But before moving on to tier 2, I decided to stay behind for a few extra minutes, farming the endless ghosts and trying to get as much XP as possible. And this gamble actually paid off, since I was able to get the Bloody Tome, meaning I had a consistent way of healing as well as completing my build. Now for tier 2, I'm not going to go over everything here as it's the exact same as tier 1, but with stronger enemies who do more damage and have more health. But I basically spent the 10 minutes here running around and searching for all the shrines, whilst also defeating enemies in order to upgrade my build. Some notable things that did happen was acquiring the gas mask, which massively improved my survivability. This paired well with the moldy cheese I got not long after. And for the rest of tier 2, I'll just play the clip. Yeah, so at this point, the build was really coming together. The Bloody Tome book allowed me to heal on every hit, whilst the gas mask gave me more armor and overhealing. The 90% crit chance paired well with Grandma's Secret Tonic, giving me a 50% chance to explode enemies on a crit. And just to sweeten the deal, during the final boss of tier 2, I actually got a second gas mask. Now the only real issue at this point was my damage, as when I was going against the 600k health boss, I noticed that his health wasn't really moving. At least nowhere near fast enough considering I had 10 seconds before the Endless Wave. And when that wave rolled around, I thought I was cooked. My damage is seriously lacking and the boss still has half of his health 30 seconds into final wave. But thanks to my insane survivability, I was able to ignore the ghosts and laser focus all of my damage on the boss, just barely defeating him. However, I now had another issue to worry about, and that's the endless wave of ghosts who get stronger by the second, pushing me around like I'm a fart in the wind. And when all my hope was gone, this happened. This moment was a message. A message from Venidad himself to not give up, to finish this run, to become the most violent pacifist Megabonk has ever seen. And Venidad, I won't disappoint. I loaded into Desert Tier 3, bunny hopping around the place, getting all the upgrades I could. I avoided the mini-boss like the plague, opting to bully the weaker enemies like a true pacifist would. I spent the next 10 minutes getting stronger and stronger and maybe a little lucky, all to prepare me for the final fight. So, can you beat Megabonk as a pacifist? Hell no you can't! Does this look like the face of a pacifist to you? But anyway guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video, as this is a game that I've not really covered on this channel. And if you'd like to support the channel, then consider dropping a like on this video and subscribing. And if you'd like to support me even further, then consider checking out Gamersupps and Cheeky in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.